All right, before we dive in, just a quick heads up. This is purely for educational purposes, okay? It's not financial advice. So, with that out of the way, let's get started.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at your bank account? You know you've been saving, you've been doing the right thing, but you still feel like you're falling behind. Kind of like you're just treading water? Well, let me tell you, you are not going crazy. There is a very, very real reason for that feeling.
And that reason? It has a name. Inflation. The best way to think about it is like an invisible pay cut. Yeah, it's this silent, sneaky force that makes your hard-earned cash buy less and less year after year. And the frustrating part is, it happens even when you feel like you're doing everything right.
Okay, so for our first section, let's pull back the curtain on this invisible pay cut and really break down what it is in the simplest terms possible.
All right, so what is it really? At its heart, inflation just means that the price of pretty much everything you buy, your coffee, gas for the car, your rent, it all gradually goes up over time. And this is so important. It's not because you're doing something wrong or you're bad with money. It's because the actual value, the purchasing power of each and every dollar is literally shrinking.
And this is the part that really messes with our heads, right? It's a total paradox. You can look at your bank account and the number looks fine. It might even be a little higher than last month. But what that number can actually buy out in the real world, well, that's gone down. And that right there is the silent danger of just letting cash sit around for too long.
All right, section 2, the 1,000 small cuts. So that's the theory, but let's make this real. I'm going to walk you through an example that'll make this whole abstract idea feel, well, a little too real.
Okay, let's use a super simple, everyday example. Imagine your weekly grocery shopping costs exactly $100. It's a nice round number. You've got it budgeted, you know what to expect.
Okay, now let's say we have a 5% inflation rate for the year. Suddenly, that same cart of groceries, that same $100 run, now costs you $105. It's noticeable, right? A little annoying, for sure, but it's not going to break the bank. Not yet, anyway.
Then, the next year rolls around. Another 5% increase. Now you're paying around $110 for the exact same stuff. See how it's starting to add up? You're not buying more, you're not getting fancy, but your money just isn't stretching as far. By year 3, that bill hits about $116. And this is where the sneaky power of compounding really starts to kick in, because each price hike is building on top of the last one. It's not just adding, it's multiplying.
And fast forward to year 4, you're now at $122. Think about that. It is the exact same cart of groceries, but it costs you 22% more than it did just a handful of years ago. Nothing crazy happened in 1 week, but over time, wow, your budget has totally changed.
And this is really the key thing I want you to take away from this. Inflation doesn't usually knock you out with one big punch. No, it's a slow, steady drain. It wins by 1,000 tiny little cuts to your buying power, happening every week, every month, every single year.
So, okay, how do we actually measure this effect? Well, we need a new term, and it's super important. It's called real return. Honestly, this is the only number that really matters. It's not just about what your savings account earns, it's what it earns after you subtract the damage that inflation has done. And this right here, this visual, shows exactly how you can be losing money even when you think you're making it. So look at this. Let's say your high-yield savings account earns you 1%. That feels okay, right? It's something. But if inflation is humming along at 3%, your real return is actually -2%. You literally did nothing wrong, you didn't spend a single cent, but the value of your savings still went down. Okay, next up, section 3, the melting ice cube. This leads us right into a massive myth that so many of us are taught from day one, that just saving cash is always the smartest, safest move. Well, let's take a closer look at why that might not be the whole story.
Now, let me be super clear about this. Having cash for emergencies, that is absolutely critical. It's your lifeline, your safety net. We're not arguing with that. But holding on to huge piles of cash for the long term, well, that's a completely different ballgame. As we just saw, that cash is in a constant battle with inflation, and it's losing.
I love this analogy. Think about it this way. Holding cash for the long haul is like putting an ice cube on your kitchen table. When you first put it down, it looks solid, safe, stable. But you walk away, you live your life, you come back an hour later, and what do you see? A puddle. It's smaller. It's been silently, slowly melting away, losing its substance.
That is exactly what inflation is doing to your cash.
All right, so if hoarding cash isn't the long-term answer, then what in the world is? Well, let's get to the good part, the solution. We're going to talk about a super simple, totally beginner-proof system to protect your money. Let's get into it.
The big idea here is that it's not all cash or all investing. No, the goal is to use a bucket system. We're going to organize our money into 3 separate buckets, and each one has a very specific job to do. Bucket 1 is to help you sleep soundly at night. Bucket 2 is for planning your life. And bucket 3, well, that's the one we designed specifically for growth, to fight back against that silent pay cut.
So here's how it breaks down. Bucket number 1, that's your emergency fund. Plain and simple. This is 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses, and you keep it somewhere safe and easy to access. Its only job is to protect you. Then you have bucket 2. This is for your near-term goals, stuff that's maybe 1 to 3 years away. Think a down payment or a big trip. This should also be in something low risk. But bucket 3, this is the exciting one. This is for everything 5 or more years in the future. This is your inflation-fighting bucket. This is the money that you finally get to put to work.
So the big question is, what actually goes into that growth bucket? Well, if you look at history, the kinds of things that tend to grow faster than inflation are assets that, well, they do something. Like owning small pieces of businesses through stocks or ETFs, or owning some real assets. Even bonds can play a role for stability. The main point is, to make sure your buying power is still there in 10, 20, 30 years, you need to own assets that can actually grow faster than prices are going up.
Okay, we've covered the problem, we've covered the framework. For our final section, let's get practical. It's time to turn all this knowledge into some immediate, totally manageable steps you can take.
Here's your homework, what you can do literally the second this is over. Step 1, figure out your monthly essentials number. Just the absolute basics: rent, food, essential bills, transport. Write it down. Step 2, set your very first tangible goal, which is to save up 3 months' worth of that number for bucket 1, your emergency fund. And step 3, start small. Set up a tiny, automatic monthly investment for bucket 3. Seriously, even if it's just $25 a month. The amount doesn't matter at first. It's all about building the habit.
And I want to leave you with this final thought. Just worrying about inflation, it doesn't solve anything. And motivation? Well, we all know that comes and goes. The only real sustainable way to protect yourself from this silent pay cut is by building a simple, automatic system that just works in the background for you day in and day out. Because you don't beat inflation with motivation, you beat it with systems.